Welcome in, everyone. I'm Celeste.
And I'm Terry.
Today, we're just traveling through one of the most fascinating and remote places in New Mexico, Chaco National Historical Park.
Chaco is a UNESCO World Heritage Site and offers a rare glimpse into the world of the Ancestral Puebloans who lived here more than 1,000 years ago.
In this video, we're going to give you the information you need to visit and take you through some of the highlights,
including Hungo, Pavi, and Pueblo Bonito.
We're also showing you how to get to this remote but unforgettable location. I have to say, after visiting Bandelier National Monument, we weren't sure that we wanted to see another Pueblo cultural site, but this was really cool. It was way more than we thought it was going to be.
Yeah, this is the kind of history that you don't learn too much about in the American public school system, and it's fascinating because these people were the controlling Indian tribe in the American Southwest in that era.
Yeah, it's really like stepping into a real-life history documentary. It was pretty cool. So where is it?
Chaco National Historical Park is about 152 miles northwest of Albuquerque, or about 185 miles northwest of Santa Fe.
It's only about 130 miles to Four Corners or Mesa Verde and about 276 to Flagstaff. Even though it's not too far from Albuquerque or Santa Fe, this is a very remote site and you have to drive at least 16 miles on dirt roads to get there.
Yeah, these are not four-wheel drive necessary types of roads, but they are heavily rutted.
And other than the visitor center, there are really no services in place at all. There's no gas stations.
No restaurants, nothing of any variety.
Frequently no cell phone service. So a tip, bring all your own water and food and snacks. The visitor center has some amount of that.
Yeah, some confections and that kind of thing, and a few drinks.
But not food to eat. So
no.
Make sure you're well fed and you have stuff in the car with you.
The National Park Service recommends approaching the park
from the north entrance
via U.S. Highway 550, then following County Roads 7900 and 7950 for the most direct route.
This minimizes how much time you spend on dirt roads. One other quick tip is when we left the park, we ended up taking a southern route and going west because we were going towards Bisty Badlands, and this required us to drive for maybe an hour and a half on dirt roads, and it wasn't pleasant at all, and it was, again, very remote, no cell service. So we would recommend, even if you're going in that direction, leaving from the way you came in the north entrance. It was established as a national monument in 1907, it became a National Historic Park in 1980, and was recognized as a UNESCO World Heritage Site in 1987. One of the things I thought that made this site truly unique is that Chaco Canyon was once a major hub where cultures from across the region came together.
Between 800 and 1250 AD, it emerged as a hub for regional cultures. The Chacoans built massive multi-story stone structures, transforming the area into a ceremonial, administrative, and economic center. Although the exact number of inhabitants is uncertain, estimates suggest that thousands of people may have lived in this vast complex.
When you arrive, stop at the visitor center, get a map and information for your visit. There's rangers inside. You can ask them for information. There's a lot of books in there on the archaeological sites.
Yeah, the rangers are very helpful there. There's a sort of a help desk where you can stop and they come right over and answer all your questions.
To see the park, you're going to take Canyon Loop Drive.
It's approximately 9 miles long, and amazingly, it is paved.
Which was kind of funny after being on dirt road for 16
After all those
miles.
miles of dirt roads, yeah.
So here you are in this remote area, and suddenly now there's a paved road. It offers access to the most important archaeological sites, including Hungo, Pavi, Pueblo Bonito, Chetro Kettle, and Casa Rinconada,
as well as several other great houses in Kivas. These people were building on a massive scale, and it was only later after we started looking at some of the national park information that was available that we realized that the actual culture center was only a small part of the massive amount of construction done in that area. There were over 200 other great houses built in that general area in New Mexico.
400 miles of
road
network. That was real road. It wasn't just paths.
Yeah,
these were actually roads that connected the people to come to this one location.
Yeah, these people built on a massive scale. It's truly awesome when you look at the map.
Another interesting thing about this complex is that even though there was so many people there at that one point in time, or over time it became this big center, at some point they left.
They all disappeared by 1250 AD.
They're not exactly 100% sure why, but they suspect that it might have been a combination of things, including environmental changes,
Including drought.
Resource depletion, possibly.
They used massive amounts of timber for their multi-story buildings, and timber began to disappear.
Hungo Pavi was the first stop along the route.
And it consisted of about 150 rooms with a single-story design that reached 2 stories in some parts.
The structure also includes a central kiva, which is a ceremonial room, and a large open plaza.
It is believed to have been constructed between 1000 and 1100 AD, making it contemporaneous with other major Chacoan structures.
Hungo Pavi is notable for being unfinished. This part was not completed.
Archaeologists have found evidence that the construction of this great house was never completed, which is somewhat unusual among Chacoan great houses. The reason for the halt in construction is unknown.
Maybe it was right before they all left.
It could be. One of the things that caught our eye as we walked about this particular area was the thickness of the walls in these buildings. They used stone and mud mortar to construct them, but you can see by the width of the wall that it created a lot of natural insulation. So the openings to allow the wind in would cool off the interior, but obviously the immensity of the stone walls provided a lot of insulation.
The next stop is Pueblo Bonito. This is the highlight, I think, of the park, and It is the largest and most famous of the great houses in all of Chaco culture.
It was so big, as constructed by the Chacoans.
It covers nearly 3 acres, and originally the building stood up to 4 or 5 stories high in some places.
Containing more than 600 rooms and around 40 kivas, it was built in stages between approximately 828 AD and 1126 AD. This massive D-shaped structure was a central hub for the civilization and is considered one of the most impressive archaeological sites in North America.
So why was it shaped like a D?
The Chacoans often oriented their constructions to solar, lunar, and cardinal directions. Some great houses incorporated sophisticated astronomy markers. Lines of sight among the great houses enabled communications between each great site. At its height, Pueblo Bonito was the largest building in North America until the late 19th century.
They were kind of like apartment buildings. And right here you're going to see that there's these large rocks that fell off of the side of the cliff. Basically the cliff collapsed.
Yeah, the cliff face known as Threatening Rock had stood there for many, many years, but it collapsed and fell on the western side of Pueblo Bonito in 1941.
It weighed 30,000 tons.
And it's fortunate that nobody was there.
They think the collapse was due to a combination of natural factors, including erosion and weathering. The stability of the cliff was compromised by repeated freeze and thaw cycles, and they actually tried to put supports in the 1800s, but it wasn't enough to prevent the collapse. So they actually built a walkway up to where you can walk up to the top of the collapse and you can look around. And you can see how vast the network of buildings is out there in the background.
Yeah, these people were amazing constructors. There's nothing being done in North America of this size and immensity until easily 800 years later.
Here you can see Terry checking out the walls. So this is at Pueblo Bonito, and you can see the walls are not as thick. These were the earlier walls. And then in Hungo Pavi, they were built later.
And to make higher, longer walls, Chacoan builders widened the rubble cores and added structural stone veneers and internal wooden supports. That explains the difference in wall thickness.
Now here you're looking at a kiva. Kivas were deeply symbolic and connected to Puebloan cosmology, representing the underworld from which life emerged.
They were frequently round and built underground or semi-underground with entry through a ladder via a hole in the roof.
And they have typically a fire pit in the middle and a small hole in the floor symbolizing the portal through which the ancestors emerged from the underworld.
They would place benches around the walls, and many kivas feature small niches or cubbyholes, which may have been used to store sacred objects.
Want to live here?
I feel like I'm walking through a Louis L'Amour novel.
After Hurricane Milton hit last week, Terry's thinking he wants to move to New Mexico. He's thinking Santa Fe would be a great place. We can hang out at the Ojo Spa. So that's it for Chaco Canyon.
We hope you enjoyed this video as much as we did making it.
And if you want to see other sites in New Mexico, check out our videos. It should be showing up now.
Yeah, there's quite a few, and I think you'll enjoy them just as much.
Thanks for watching.
Bye-bye.